The question is discuss global warming and mention its effects on global climate. Explain the control measures to bring down the level of greenhouse gases which cause global warming in light of Kyoto Protocol 1997. In this question, we have to answer three things. First, we have to briefly write on global warming. Second, we have to write effects of global warming on climate. Then we have to write control measures to reduce greenhouse gases emission under Kyoto Protocol. We have to mention measures and mechanisms for greenhouse gases reduction provided in the Kyoto Protocol. Now, let's answer these one by one. Global warming is a gradual rise in Earth's temperature due to increase in concentration of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluoride, and water vapors. Since industrial revolution, the global annual temperature has increased a little more than 1 degree Celsius. This increase in temperature was fast in last 4 decades. This is due to increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, mainly due to burning of fossil fuels. The solar radiations that strike the earth heat the earth's surface, which in turn emit infrared radiations or heat radiations. Normally, most of these infrared radiations will escape in space, but the high concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere acts as a blanket or greenhouse that traps these infrared or heat radiations. This is raising the temperature of Earth, and this phenomena is called global warming. Next is effects of global warming on climate. Earth's rising temperature due to global warming is causing longer and hotter heat waves, more frequent droughts, heavier rainfall, and more powerful hurricanes. According to scientists, the 2015 lengthy drought and water scarcity in California was intensified 15 to 20% by global warming. They are of opinion that droughts happening in future will be more intense due to global warming effect. Due to global warming, ocean's temperature is increasing, due to which tropical storms originating in oceans are becoming more stronger. In other words, warming up of ocean water due to global warming is turning category 3 storms into category 4 storms. Increased intensity of storms increases damage and death toll. Scientists have found that frequency of North Atlantic hurricanes and storms have increased since the early 1980s, and they have attributed it to global warming. If global warming continued at present pace, in coming decades the extreme El Nino and El Nina events will increase in frequency, and the strongest event will be even stronger than they are today. Due to global warming, rainfall extremes are projected to shift eastward along the equator in Pacific Ocean during El Nino events and westward during extreme El Nina events. Due to global warming, glaciers and ice caps are melting. This melting of ice contributes to sea level rise. If the trend continues, the sea level rise will submerge coastal cities in next 50 to 150 years. Due to change in climate, several species will not be able to adapt to changed climate and become extinct. The cropping pattern and prevalence of crop diseases will change. Some effects are already being experienced. This can lead to reduction in crop production, which is a threat to food security of the world. Now, control measures for reduction of greenhouse gases under Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol is an international treaty to reduce greenhouse gases emission. It applies to reduction of six greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, perfluorocarbons, sulfur hexafluoride. It was adopted in Kyoto City of Japan in 1997. Kyoto Protocol is an extension of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The various measures and mechanisms under Kyoto Protocol to reduce greenhouse gases emission are as follows. The industrial or developed nations are legally bound to commitment on greenhouse gases emissions. This is because it is these industrial or developed nations which are mainly responsible for emission of greenhouse gases ever since onset of industrial revolution. Developing nations like India have been exempted from legally binding commitments. Developing nations are encouraged, they are not legally bound to contribute to reduction in greenhouse gases. The treaty calls upon the countries to take national measures to reduce greenhouse gases. These can be plantations, reforestation, use of clean fuels, increase in use of renewable energy sources, etc. Kyoto Protocol have two mechanisms. One is Clean Development Mechanism, is also called CDM, and other is GI. GI means joint implementation. Clean development mechanism involves investment by developed countries in developing countries, especially for reduction of greenhouse gas emission by these developing countries. This protocol under CDM stimulates the transfer of emission reduction or emission removal technology from developed nations to developing nations. Under joint implementation or JI, the developed countries are to carry out greenhouse gases emission reduction or removal enhancement projects in other developed countries. In Kyoto Protocol, all member countries are assigned a maximum limit of greenhouse gases emission in the form of assigned amount units or AAU. If a country exceeds its AAU, that is, if its emissions are more than the assigned maximum limit or AAU of greenhouse gases, then it will have to buy AAU from a country which has not exceeded its AAU. So, this is a sort of penalty on violating countries. We can understand it with the help of an example. Suppose a developed nation has been assigned AAU 100 and its greenhouse gases emission are 110. Then it will have to buy AAU from a country which has not crossed its AAU. Say, for example, it buys from a country B whose AAU remains 60, and this country has 40 AAU to sell, and the country that has exceeded the AAU limit can purchase 10 AAU from this country.